Today, we are the Group 8. The topic that will be presented today is Quarter 2, Module 4, Data Gathering Method and Tools for Research. Effective research hinges on data collection. Today, we'll explore a range of methods from surveys and experiments to interviews and observations, and the tools that support them. Our goal is to equip you with the knowledge to choose the best approaches for your research. And in the end of our lesson, you are expected to Number 1. Identify the different types of research data collection, method, and tools. Number 2. Determine the guidelines in designing the various type of data collection methods and tools. Number 3. Conduct survey and observation. And lastly, write an effective survey questionnaire. Data collection methods and tools for research. Data collection is an integral phase in any types of research study. Data collection methods set procedures for gathering data from all various sources. To answer a research problem, test the hypothesis and evaluate the outcomes. Data collection tools for research instruments are used to obtain, measure, and analyze data from subjects around a certain research topic. In conducting a research, it is important that suitable data gathering method and tool are used to better serve the purpose of the study.
There are four types of data collection method/tool in creating your research. What are they? Let's find out. And can you guess the first one?
Interview is popular nowadays. It is usually used in social science, market research, ethnographic research, and etc. This uses qualitative type method to gather data, in which the researcher asks questions to the respondents. The answers and ideas that come up to each respondent are recorded. This feedback helps the researcher to make his or her project more creative and attractive to the people. After gathering data, you should follow these four stages in order to make an effective interview. First stage, pre-interview stage. This stage, the researcher prepare and who his or her respondents. This gives the researcher a guide about what should be the appropriate question. Second stage, warm-up stage. The researcher asks some simple questions to the respondents so that they feel relaxed. It could be started by your name, age, grade, hobbies, and etc. In the third stage, this stage, the researcher asks the main question that could answer some problem related to the research. And lastly, closing stage. Finally, this stage, the researcher thanks the cooperation of the respondents and by giving their ideas.
The following are some helpful strategies in preparing questions for an interview. Number 1. Interview questions should be relevant to research questions and must help in achieving a better understanding of the research topic. Number 2. Open-ended questions should be designed to encourage longer responses from the participants. Number 3. Questions should be delivered using simple language to avoid confusing the identified participants. Number 4. Leading questions should be avoided to prevent forming any biases.
Since we're done with the first one, let's now move to the second one. Observation.
Observation is a method where researchers watch and describe how people behave, either in real life situations or in a lab. It helps confirm results from other tools and is useful when people can't answer questions. It also gives researchers direct information about the participants and what they do. There are 6 types of observation. Number 1. Participant. The researcher spends time with the people they're studying and interacts with them to understand their actions and feelings better. Number 2. Non-participant. The researcher watches people without telling them and doesn't talk or interact with them. This way, people act naturally because they don't know what they're being observed. Number 3. Structured. The researcher makes a list of specific behaviors they want to watch for. They focus on seeing and recording only those behaviors during the observation. Number 4. Unstructured. The complete opposite of structured. The researcher watches freely without a set list and takes detailed notes on any behaviors they notice. Number 5. Covert. The researcher watches people without them knowing they're being observed. This way, people act naturally because they don't realize they're being part of the study. Number 6. Overt. The opposite of covert. Participants will know that they're being watched as part of a study. They're aware that the observation process as it happens. Guidelines in conducting observations. According to New Bold in 2018, observations can help researchers better determine how people behave in various settings and environmental factors. Below are some helpful ways to effectively perform observations for a research study. Tip number one, decide what you want to study. For example, if you're observing kids at play, your goal might be to see how they share toys or interact with each other. Tip number two, choose the best way to capture your observations, like taking notes, video, or audio recording. For example, if you're observing a speech, you might use audio recording to capture everything said clearly. Number three, decide whether you need structured, unstructured, covert, or overt observation to get the most accurate information for your study. For example, if you want natural behavior, a covert observation might be best.
Number 4.
Focus on the behavior and environment of your participants, noting actions, words, and details that may be important. For example, if you're studying how students work in a group, pay attention to how they talk, share ideas, or solve problems together. And lastly, number 5. Look for patterns or connections between interactions, behaviors, and responses. For example, if you notice that students who sit together collaborate more, this might show that seating arrangement affects group work. And that's about it of the method observation.
Let us now move to the third type of data collection method/tools.
Imagine you're having a conversation with thousands of people. You ask them questions, and they share their thoughts. That's a survey questionnaire. A survey questionnaire is a valuable tool for collecting quantifiable data from a large number of respondents. It consists of written questions designed to gather specific information, with responses differentiated using multiple choice tests and rating scales. A well-structured questionnaire typically includes 4 sections. Number 1. Personal information. It collects demographic data such as name, age, address, and occupation. Number 2. Basic questions. Screens respondents to ensure they fit the study's target population. For example, have you used our product before? Number 3. Main questions. It asks specific questions related to the research topic, often using multiple choice or rating scales. For example, how satisfied are you with our service? Number 4. Open-ended questions. It allows respondents to provide detailed, qualitative answers in their own words. For example, what do you like most of our product? When developing questions, researchers use either closed-ended or open-ended formats. Closed-ended questions offer fixed response options, such as Likert scale, strongly disagree, disagree, neutral, agree, and strongly agree.
On the other hand, open-ended questions are those that encourage a detailed or thoughtful responses rather than a simple yes or no. They often start with why, how, what, or describe. Example, how do you usually spend your weekends?
To design an effective questionnaire, follow these guidelines. Explain the study's purpose and relevance. Keep questions concise and necessary. Use simple language. Ensure objective responses. Use affirmative statements. Avoid bias or discriminating questions. And lastly, pilot test the questionnaire. By following these principles, researchers can create reliable and informative survey questionnaires. But what if you want to go deeper? What if you want to test a hypothesis, like a scientist mixing ingredients in a lab? That's an experiment. What is an experiment? An experiment tests a hypothesis using the scientific method to predict and understand a phenomenon's cause and effect. There are types of experiment. Number 1. Natural experiment. It examines the system without controlling variables. Example, studying the effect of a natural disaster on a coastal ecosystem. Number 2. Controlled experiment. Conducted in labs with controlled and experimental groups. Example, comparing different teaching methods and student learning. Number 3. Field experiment, conducted in real-world settings. Example, studying the impact of urbanization on the local wildlife. There are steps to conduct an experiment. Number 1. Observe and note phenomena. Number 2. Develop a hypothesis. Number 3. Conduct the experiment and redo for reliability. Number 4. Analyze data. And number 5. Accept or reject the hypothesis. There are best practices. 1. Collaborate with authorities. 2. Ensure a safe and suitable environment. 3. Maintain cleanliness and prepare materials. 4. Restore the venue after the experiment. And lastly, obtain informed consent from participants. By following these guidelines, researchers can conduct rigorous and meaningful experiments to advance knowledge and understanding. Thank you for exploring data gathering methods and tools with us. We hope this discussion has enhanced your understanding of data collection techniques.